Topic numero 4.
Quattro.
A, you're not going to. And number 2, okay. Last topic of the show. Because obviously this is just a perfect segue from everything else we've talked about. Have you noticed that all of our topics completely relate to each other?
Totally.
Welcome back to the Phone It In episode. Electric cars. We're going to talk about electric
cars or Tesla?
Both. Because here's what I mean, mostly Tesla, but here's what I think is cool. Electric cars, even 10 years ago, see? I tied it together. Even 10 years ago, it's not like that they've never existed before, but electric cars were never sexy and cool before. Elon Musk made them sexy and cool. He was so smart that he started
the Honda Insight. Sorry.
The fact that he started with a $100,000 Roadster car, and now even the Tesla Model S's and even the SUV, the Model X, and now even the Model 3 are going to have faster 0 to 60 than almost any car you can get for under 6 figures. They're awesome. Yeah. And now that the Model 3, the first kind of quote-unquote mainstream car, and I know a lot of people are going to say, well, $30,000 is not a mainstream car. Well, there's a little bit more to that, a little more piece of the pie. If you're able to ride share your car out with autonomous driving and have your car make money for you during the day while you're out there, you're now able to have this car, the same thing, the same way you'd be able to get like a $16,000 to $20,000 car. I'm just super excited for this. I don't know if you guys, I've test driven a Tesla before, having they're silent. The ones that you get up to, and I think that they're closing off the deadline right now, that if you get them currently from Tesla right now, you get unlimited supercharging at any of the stations for life, which is really cool. And even if you don't have that, just getting the electric charging, we're going to be able to get much cheaper than gasoline is freaking awesome. The cars are cool. I just really want one because I love tech stuff, and this just looks really cool. But what are you guys' thoughts on this?
Well, from people I've spoken to, they kind of have the same reaction to you with regards to just the ride itself. I mean, just the entire experience of the car. Obviously, the design element is phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's like these things. If you the stigma of the electric car has people thinking historically it had people thinking of
smart car nerd.
Yeah, like the Prius, it looks like an elf shoe or something like that. I mean, this looks like a.
We found your car. It was voting for Ralph Nader.
yeah, exactly. But it's like it's that kind of. You look at it and like, well, it was function but no real form. This one they're actually able to even improve on the function, but at the same time,
substantially.
But also at the same time recognize that this is a consumer product, and and they put it out there with that in mind. It's not just the fact that the electric piece of it isn't just what's going to be selling this car. There's image associated with it.
Yeah.
There's obviously this function. There's cool design. I mean, there's like a whole experience surrounding Tesla in particular as far as getting one of these cars. And I think they've just done a really good job of framing that image so that people can respond to that and like, oh, they almost the fact that it's electric doesn't even. It might crack like the top 5 reasons why they love the car, but it's not the primary. That's not the thing that's bringing them in. So, I price point would come down eventually. I'd love to get one, but
I think Musk was so smart knowing that you have to go after image first. You have to make people think that these cars are sexy and you want them, or else the lobbyists are going to be able to keep it out for as long. And don't get me wrong, having 30 miles on a charge from some of these older cars was dog shit. Having 200 to 300 miles on a charge, now you're freaking talking. And he even sent out a tweet a week or two ago. Because right now, with the supercharging, if you're going to charge at one of these stations, which are all over the country, and they're going to be doubling them in the next year. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot in Wisconsin. It takes about 30 minutes to charge 80%, and then they get the last 80 to 100 takes like another hour, just because the way it charges the battery. So that's really all you want to do is charge it 80%. 30 minutes. Not bad if you want to stop and get something to eat, but not as quick as going to a gas station and filling up. And until we get to that point, it's never going to be – that's going to be real deterrent, right? He's probably one of the smartest guys on the planet. He knows that. In fact, he sent out a tweet that what is it? Supercharging version 2 or 3 and Power Pack version 2 or whatever it is as soon as those are out, which might be in the Model 3 that's coming out, are going to blow that away. And some of the people are saying, wait a minute, you're going to be putting out new charging stuff that's even faster? Like what, up to this? And they said how many kilowatt hours? Like, right now, if you get a 90 kilowatt hour battery, that usually goes, I think, about 285 miles, give or take, based on the weather, whatever. So when you usually charge, you're probably going to be charging about 90 to 100 kilowatts, right, to fill up your battery. Well, he's talking, when someone asked, like 200? Because a lot of these other countries and areas that are moving to electric transit, like for buses, they need a lot more battery in there, and they need to be able to charge them faster. So they're thinking like 200 to maybe even up to 250 or maybe even 300 kilowatt hour batteries. Well, you got to be able to charge those really fast. And so the guy that was asking Musk about what he meant, he said, like what? Like those 200 and some kilowatt hours? And his response was, that's a child's toy. Absolutely not. So imagine if we get unveiled, because apparently there's another Model 3 announcement coming out this year. There's a lot of stuff we don't know about Model 3. It looks pretty empty in the car. There's just that one 15-inch dashboard that's in the center. There's no display, anything before you. It's right there. And a lot of people were asking, well, isn't that kind of weird to look over here for your odometer and your speed and all that stuff? I mean, it's there, but it's not in the line of sight. He says it'll all make sense when the more information comes out, which I'm assuming is also going to be this faster charging things. My guess, it's going to be a heads-up display that they're going to put into the glass that you can get on some cars, that mirror into the glass. I bet you, but it's going to be a lot more than just your speed. I bet you're going to have your maps there. You're going to have everything.
I'm streaming porn.
Range,
it's all there.
Everything.
I hope. Yeah. So my guess is we're going to be able to have the Model 3. There was almost, 400,000 pre-orders, which blew them away, but also gave them so much capital that for when I was reading up on this, a lot of companies that Tesla has had to struggle on their supply chain to get parts for, and the way they wanted them and in the time frame that they want. When you're trying to prove yourself as a car company and everyone's laughing in your face, that's kind of hard. When you have 400,000 pre-orders, people are now sucking your dick. So they're really up, and he actually
$1,000 a piece.
Yeah, and he's saying no. He really thinks that there's a good chance they'll be able to meet all of these orders by the end of 2018 with the new Gigafactory, where they're not only doing the battery but the car.
I've heard 3 years.
Well, 2 to 3 years. But what I'm saying is,
I've
you
heard
hear
the
what
list
people,
is 3 years.
Yeah, you hear people say, "Oh, it's going to be 5 years before you're going to be able to get a Model 3." I don't know. I wouldn't bet against him in this case. When you have that much demand and people want to put in capital in this.
Oh, well, there'll be some there.
Mm-hmm.
There's people buying cars just to sell them in the secondary market. So, I mean, if you're willing to pay $120,000 for this, you could have one the day it rolls off the show line.
Yeah, but we're talking about Model 3. You know what I mean? We're talking about the
there's going to be people buying these for the fact that they're going to sell them to people at an overly inflated price.
Sure. I guess there's always going to be some percentage. I don't think that's going to be a substantially large percentage. I mean, of all the people I know a bunch that have put their pre-orders or talking about, everybody's excited to have this thing. You know what I mean? But let me ask you guys this.
Person.
If this thing has like the heads-up display and it can charge in the same time or faster than it takes to fill up your car with gas, and it has autonomous driving. Let's just say hypothetically the legislation gets finally passed through. They finally have enough miles on the ground with statistics proving to legislators that it is much safer to have the car drive itself than a human drive it. And you could also ride share your car out to make money while you're not using it. Is that something you'd think about for your next car?
Yeah, I'd consider that. I mean, a lot of the drive that I have for getting any kind of car is ultimately it's going to come down to cost,
right?
And if it comes down to the fact that if the price point is comparable,
right,
and aside and the ride sharing element is a nice way to kind of offset that cost too. That's pretty much the selling point for me.
Can you imagine autonomous, not having to worry about how much that's going to change everything? As long as it takes, who knows? But we know it's going to happen. God, can you just imagine that? Hey, we're going to Chicago. Get in the car. Let's put on a movie. Mm-hmm. I'm so pumped for this. Matt, are you excited for this at all?
Terribly. I mean, this is one of those things that if it were a little bit bigger, I would be one of those people putting $1,000 down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's to the point where
Well, you know they're going to iterate, and the price is going to come down even more over the next few years. So waiting might not be a bad idea.
It just needs to be a bigger car.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a family of 5. The S just doesn't work.
Right.
Because all these detractors that they're trying to throw at me.
You mean the Model 3, right?
They're bullshit.
Because the Model S is huge.
I'm sorry. The Model 3. So all the detractors that throwing at me are bullshit. So 215 miles to the gallon is what they're saying.
Right.
Or to the charge. We have a Honda Pilot that doesn't do much better than that on a 17-gallon tank. and if you have ever ridden with kids, I did a quick calculation on the computer. It was 3 hours of continuous driving.
Yeah.
I don't do 3 hours of continuous driving with kids.
Right.
So as long as there's charging stations along the way, we might make it 150 miles. We're charging. We're not at 0, so we're not waiting for, an hour and a half to charge up.
Right.
We're waiting for that minimum time, that 30 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it's going to come down to.
I really bet that we're going to see at the next big Model 3 announcement that he does, that he's going to announce the new charging system that is going to be fast, or he's even saying faster than charging gas. Because if he can hit that off the, check mark that off the list, that's basically the last thing that's holding a lot of people back that might think about that anyways, their next car, even if they weren't the early adopters or the cost wasn't an issue to them. But that gets me really excited, not having to worry about that. In fact, with the autonomous driving, you can even tell your car from another state to come pick you up. And with this kind of snake system where the charging port or whatever moves itself, it can charge itself at stations. Isn't that crazy?
That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Witchcraft!
Yeah.
I did hear a story a couple of weeks ago about a guy that was out. He lived in Las Vegas, left his house without his keys and without his phone, and got stranded in the desert because he got into a no-cell zone. Or no, he had his phone, but he didn't have his keys. Well, he got into a no-service area, so he had to pull over. And then when he went to start his car, he couldn't start his car, his Tesla, because he couldn't. He didn't have cell service.
Okay, that's just
so
called.
It's like,
that's called survival of the fittest.
Yeah,
that's called God hates you. That's
who doesn't have cell service here?
Yeah, man.
No, but the whole thing about the range, $30,000. If you've shopped for a car recently, $30,000 isn't a lot of money. If you're going to buy a full-size vehicle or just even a regular car, $30,000 isn't that much anymore.
Especially if you're going to mitigate a large portion of that cost for some people that never thought that they would go into that market, but now you're going to have that option if you want to with ride sharing. That's really going to change a lot because some people might never want to do that, but if you think about 350 to 400 million people in the United States, a lot are. If you know that your car could be out making money for you during the day while you're at work or gone, what's that going to do to Uber? Or Uber drivers, I guess I should say. Uber's going to be fine. It's the drivers, but
yeah.
I did a quick search here to try to find cars $30,000 or less, and these are base prices. Base. If you're going to buy a brand new Dodge Charger, base model is $27,000. That's just a regular Charger. Ford Focus, $24,000 for the base. The Nissan Juke, $28,000. That's a truck. That's not going to really be.
Isn't gasoline combustion 30% efficient? I think I read, and then electric cars are over 90 some.
It's going to come out. I mean, it's what it comes down to though for the consumer. They're not going to care about efficiency.
Right. Well, no, but I mean that translates to cost, I guess is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Why it's exactly. Yeah, no one's giving a shit about those bullet points.
Well,
especially
up to this point, gasoline has been the most efficient when you're talking about amount to energy type of ratio. Now, could they have done more, and could they still do more for gas cars? They could. But what's going to end up happening is they're going to have to feel that squeeze from the electric cars before they're going to start doing the things where you can start getting 40, 50 miles to the gallon. And unfortunately, with the way things are going now, I think you're going to see the miles per gallon go down as opposed to going up.
Even if it went up or down, though, I think if you also have to add in all the moving parts that go with an internal combustion, the maintenance. Compare that to an electric car like Elon Musk was talking about this thing. The only thing you're really going to need to get serviced are like the tires. There's no pistons. No, he said, yeah, but the battery comes with a warranty.
You're still going to have to take care of the batteries.
Sure, if it runs out or whatever, but remember, just assume we're talking about the life of the car and the warranty, that part's covered, right? And it doesn't stop working. You know, I mean, they haven't had any issues with that as far as the Tesla so far. They're any notable. What I'm saying is you don't have a carburetor. You don't have the pistons. You don't have all this stuff that you have to worry about going wrong. You don't have this big front engine. That's another trunk for you. Eliminating points of that, you know, might be costs for fixing or stuff going wrong.
Keeping the weight down.
Yeah, is huge.
Yeah.
And it just looks really fucking cool. I just want one of these things.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think it's the S or in the 3. Anything he's coming out with right now, I think is fantastic.
Yep. Well,
whatever we can do to get that carbon footprint down.
I think we're all in agreement here. We would all give Elon Musk a reach around, you know, right now because we love what he's done with his products so far. So I speak for you.
I don't know about a reach around, but that's fine. Maybe fighter pilot.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you excited to have an electric car, and what would you do in it? Let us know in the comments.
Thanks for the F Shack from Dirty Mike and the Boys.
Dirty Mike and the Boys.
Yeah. What did they call that?
The F Shack.
It was in a Prius.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't just the F Shack. There was a name for it.
I just remember they said
they called it
they
something.
Found it voting for Ralph Nader, and there was a mother raccoon in it giving birth.
I know what you're talking about.
Dirty
you
box
described
car, or what the hell?
Yeah. Look it up, internet, and be surprised.
This is why we shift from Tesla.
Yes, sorry.
No, I love it.
It's pivoting.
You defiled my car.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Fractured Focus, episode number 10. The show we obsess about everything from geek culture to nerd news, along with random topics for discussion. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share with your friends as we try to entertain you with our semi-witty banter and our constant jumping from topic to topic. You're only here because you apparently like listening to us talk, which means there's something probably messed up with you. But thank you. Subscribe.
Seek help.
Yeah, tell your friends. Until next time.